Life Class by Pastor Cesar Castellanos. Day 49. Decide to serve others. It was the last night Jesus spent with his disciples before being crucified. He knew that this time would remain in their hearts and live on until today. He spoke to them about important things, but there came a time when he did something unexpected. He took off his outer clothing, picked up a towel, and started to wash his disciples' feet. They were astounded. They had seen all the power of God demonstrated in his life, and they were witnesses to the fact that unclean spirits were powerless in his presence, and that even the forces of nature were subject to him. All of a sudden, this marvelous being was on his knees, doing the work that was normally done by a servant. They looked at each other in astonishment, unsure of what to say. When Jesus had finished washing their feet, he returned to his place, aware that they had not understood what had just happened. He explained, "Do you understand what I have done for you? You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." John chapter 13, verses 12b to 15, emphasis added. With all the authority, power, and position that demand to be served, and with every right to do so, he chose the place of a servant. If that is what Jesus did, how could we possibly find any excuse to not do the same? The path of greatness. Jesus' disciples often argued about who would be the most important among them. On one of those occasions, 2 of the disciples asked Jesus to allow them to sit beside him in his kingdom. Understandably, the other 10 were annoyed when they found out about their requests. Jesus used this opportunity to teach them an important principle about how to make it to the top. You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Matthew chapter 20, verses 25 to 28. Although many people in our society have chosen to abuse the weak to exercise power by force, Jesus taught us that true power is never about using force to take advantage of those weaker than us. Instead, we should pour our lives into serving others, and that is how we become great. We are not strong so that we can lord it over others. He makes us strong so that we can help and uphold the weak. Romans chapter 15, verse 1. In his teachings on the epistle to the Galatians, Martin Luther, the father of the Reformation, wrote, "If there is anything in us, it is not our own. It is a gift from God. But if it is a gift from God, then it is entirely a debt one owes to love, that is, the law of Christ. And if it is a debt owed to love, then I must serve others with it, not myself. Thus, my learning is not my own. It belongs to the unlearned and is a debt of love I owe to them. My wisdom belongs to the foolish, my power to the oppressed. Thus, my wealth belongs to the poor, my righteousness to the sinners." It is with all these qualities that we must stand before God and intervene on behalf of those who do not have them, as though clothed with someone else's garment. But even before men, we must, with the same love, render them service against their detractors and those who are violent toward them. For this is what Christ did for us. Live the lesson. Jesus has called us to serve others. Write down 5 practical ways in which you serve in different places, using the examples below, and commit to doing those things. At home, with my family, wash the dishes every day. At work or where I study, with my work colleagues or classmates, make sure the coffee pot is always full. At church, my leaders or people in our cell or disciples take my cell members home in the car. You can cite your own examples at home, at work or where you study, and at church. Remember the lesson. I will follow Jesus' example and serve others. Study the Word. Read Psalm 100, Psalm 101, Psalm 102, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 1 Corinthians chapter 14. This audiobook is narrated by Paulin Lu for the purpose of helping life class students. All credit belongs to Pastor Cesar Castellanos and his team of translators, and all glory belongs to our Lord Jesus Christ. No copyright infringement intended.